more than 2,500 years ago, an epic battle unfolded in a narrow mountain pass. A battle that would not only change the tides of war, but forever etch itself into the annals of history. Welcome to the story of the Battle of Thermopylae, where bravery, strategy, and sacrifice left an indelible mark on the course of Western civilization. But how much of the tale we know today reflects the truth of what happened? Let's uncover the reality behind the legend of Thermopylae. The year was 480 BCE, and the ancient world was witnessing the rise of a colossal empire, Persia. Under the ambitious leadership of King Xerxes I, Persia was rapidly expanding its reach, consolidating control over vast and diverse lands stretching from Egypt and Mesopotamia to the edges of India. Xerxes' goal was not only to expand his empire, but to avenge the defeat of his father, Darius I, during the earlier Persian Wars. His sights were set on Greece, a fractured region of independent city-states that seemed insignificant compared to the might of his empire. Yet these city-states, despite their constant rivalries, were united by a fierce sense of independence and a refusal to bow to Persian rule. Thermopylae, a narrow mountain pass that served as the gateway to central Greece, became the chosen battleground for this historic clash. Nestled between sheer cliffs and the Aegean Sea, the pass was a natural choke point. Here, the vastly outnumbered Greek forces, led by the Spartan King Leonidas, sought to turn Persia's overwhelming numbers into a disadvantage by creating a bottleneck. The terrain allowed the Greeks to stand shoulder to shoulder, forming an almost impenetrable wall of shields and spears that neutralized the Persian army's numerical superiority. For the Greek alliance, this was more than a military strategy. It was a desperate gamble. With only a few thousand men, including the legendary 300 Spartans, against Xerxes' massive force, said to number in the hundreds of thousands, the odds were stacked against them. Yet, this was not just a fight for territory. For the Greeks, it was a fight for their way of life, their freedom, and their survival as independent states against the might of a seemingly unstoppable empire. The stage was set for a battle that would echo through history, symbolizing courage, sacrifice, and the enduring fight for liberty. Among those defending Greece during the Persian invasion, one name would rise above all others: Leonidas, the king of Sparta. Known for his unwavering courage and leadership, Leonidas led a small but elite force of Greek warriors, including his famed 300 Spartans, to hold the line against overwhelming odds. In opposition stood King Xerxes I of Persia, commanding one of the largest and most formidable armies the ancient world had ever seen, with soldiers drawn from across his vast empire. Their clash at the narrow pass of Thermopylae would become a legendary moment in history, symbolizing defiance and sacrifice in the face of impossible odds. Though strikingly different in size and strategy, both armies were led by extraordinary men, making the Battle of Thermopylae a clash of legends. Leonidas of Sparta commanded a coalition of nearly 7,000 Greek soldiers, a force united by the shared goal of defending their homeland from invasion. At its core was his elite unit of 300 Spartan warriors, renowned for their unmatched combat skills, rigorous lifelong training, and unyielding discipline. These warriors were raised from a young age in the agoge, a harsh program designed to forge them into the ultimate soldiers of their time. Their courage and resilience became the embodiment of Spartan ideals. On the other side, Xerxes, the ambitious Persian king, led an overwhelmingly vast army, estimated anywhere between 100,000 and 150,000 soldiers, some accounts suggesting even more. This massive force was a reflection of the sheer scale and diversity of the Persian Empire, drawing contingents from a wide range of its territories, each bringing unique weapons, fighting styles, and traditions. Among them were the elite Persian guards, the Immortals, a highly trained unit, so named because their numbers were instantly replenished when losses occurred, giving the illusion of an unending force. Xerxes' army also included skilled archers, cavalry units, and infantry, demonstrating the strategic might of his empire. The clash between these two forces at Thermopylae set the stage for one of the most legendary battles in history. But numbers alone wouldn't guarantee success. Leonidas, And the Greeks knew that sheer manpower was not enough to overcome the odds they faced. Instead, they relied on strategy, unwavering courage, and a deep understanding of the terrain to level the playing field. Thermopylae, a narrow mountain pass, was carefully chosen as the battleground because it nullified the advantage of the Persian army's overwhelming size. By funneling the enemy into a confined space, the Greeks could hold their ground more effectively, using their superior training and equipment to withstand wave after wave of attacks. This clever use of the terrain would prove pivotal in their legendary defense. The battle began with a successful early defense. The Greek phalanx, tight, disciplined blocks of soldiers armed with long spears and large shields, proved nearly impenetrable, showcasing the strength of their training and tactics. The Greeks held their ground with remarkable resilience, forming a wall of spears that forced the enemy to fight on their terms. Day after day, waves of Persian soldiers charged relentlessly, only to be met with a unified and unyielding Greek line. Despite their overwhelming numbers, the Persians were repeatedly pushed back with heavy casualties, their assaults breaking against the phalanx like waves against a rocky shore. The determination of the Greek forces and their mastery of formation fighting turned the tide, frustrating their enemies' attempts to break through. But the tide of battle shifted dramatically when Xerxes received critical intelligence that would change the course of events. A local Greek trader named Ephialtes betrayed his homeland by revealing a hidden mountain path, one that bypassed the narrow pass at Thermopylae and allowed the Persian forces to outflank the valiant Greek defenders. This treacherous act gave Xerxes the advantage he needed to surround Leonidas and his men. Realizing their position was hopeless and faced with certain death, Leonidas made a fateful decision to stand and fight to the end, ensuring their sacrifice would inspire future generations and give the rest of Greece time to prepare for the Persian advance. Sending the majority of the Greek forces to retreat and regroup for future battles, he stayed behind with a small force of approximately 1,000 defenders. This courageous group included the legendary 300 Spartans, led by King Leonidas, as well as their allies from Thespy and Thebes. Together, they chose to make a final stand at the narrow pass of Thermopylae, a strategic point that allowed them to hold off the vastly larger Persian army. Their defiance in the face of overwhelming odds became the stuff of legend, a symbol of courage and sacrifice. Though they were ultimately outnumbered and overwhelmed, they fought fiercely to their last breath, inflicting significant losses on the Persian forces and inspiring future generations with their heroism. Though Thermopylae was ultimately a Persian victory, it was far from a decisive one. The bravery and sacrifice of the vastly outnumbered Greek defenders, led by King Leonidas and his 300 Spartans alongside a few thousand allies, became a symbol of unwavering courage. Their stand delayed the Persian advance and galvanized resistance across the region, inspiring city-states to unite against the invaders. Within a year of Thermopylae, Greek forces achieved decisive victories at the naval Battle of Salamis, where the Greek fleet outmaneuvered and crushed the larger Persian armada, and the Battle of Plataea, where a coalition of Greek armies decisively defeated the Persian forces on land. These triumphs not only halted Persia's advance, but also secured the future of Greek civilization, laying the foundation for the cultural and political developments that would shape Western history. The courage displayed at Thermopylae became a lasting symbol of sacrifice and resilience, showcasing the unwavering determination of the outnumbered Greek forces, particularly the Spartans, who stood against the vast Persian army. This heroic stand not only inspired the Greeks of their time to unite in defense of their homeland, but also resonated through history, becoming a powerful example of bravery and selflessness that continues to inspire generations across the world. The Battle of Thermopylae has left its mark far beyond the pages of history books, becoming a symbol of courage and defiance in the face of overwhelming odds. This iconic conflict, where a small Greek force led by King Leonidas of Sparta held off the vast Persian army of Xerxes, continues to resonate throughout the centuries. From theatrical works in Greek antiquity to modern pop culture references like graphic novels and blockbuster movies, Thermopylae represents the timeless struggle of the few standing against the many. However, like all retellings, these representations often take liberties with historical accuracy, shaping the narrative to fit cultural values or entertainment purposes. Despite this, the core message of sacrifice and resilience endures, inspiring people across generations. Though often embellished, these depictions serve as a powerful reminder of what Thermopylae truly symbolizes: bravery, sacrifice, and the unwavering belief that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the fight for freedom is worth it. The story of the 300 Spartans and their allies stands as a timeless testament to the human spirit, showcasing how courage and determination can inspire generations to stand against tyranny and defend their values, no matter the cost. The Greek world of 480 BCE was far from unified. Divided into city-states, or polis, each operated as an independent entity with its own government, army, and distinct agenda. Athens, known for its democratic governance and naval supremacy, was a hub of culture and innovation, while Sparta, a militaristic oligarchy, emphasized discipline, warfare, and the prowess of its formidable land forces. The scattered nature of these city-states meant that cooperation was rare, as they often competed with one another for power and influence. However, the looming threat of Persia's invasion presented a challenge so great it forced these rivals to put aside their differences and unite in defense of their homeland. The alliance between these city-states was far from harmonious. Northern city-states, being closest to Persia's advancing army, often leaned toward surrender, hoping to avoid destruction and ensure their immediate safety. This created tension within the coalition, as leaders from Athens and Sparta were determined to resist Persian domination at all costs. Although they shared a common goal of defending Greece, their approaches to strategy and leadership frequently clashed. Athens, with its strong emphasis on naval engagements, pushed for a maritime-focused plan, while Sparta, with its highly disciplined land forces, prioritized traditional ground defenses. These internal disagreements would plague the alliance, testing the fragile unity of the Greek forces even in the face of a common enemy. Before reaching Greek soil, Persia had already established itself as a dominant force, conquering vast swathes of territory under the Achaemenid kings. This empire was a marvel of the ancient world, stretching from the fertile valleys of Egypt to the distant river plains of India. Xerxes, the fourth king of the dynasty, inherited this vast and diverse empire, a testament to the administrative brilliance and military prowess of his predecessors. However, this monumental expansion did not come without resistance. Persia's strategy for maintaining control relied heavily on absorbing local cultures into its centralized bureaucracy, allowing a degree of autonomy while ensuring loyalty to the empire. This was paired with a formidable and disciplined military presence that could swiftly crush rebellions and deter foreign adversaries. The invasion of Greece was not merely a quest for domination of the Mediterranean, but was fueled by deeper motivations. It was a continuation of Persia's broader ambitions to expand westward, a campaign that had been initiated by Xerxes' father, Darius I. The sting of earlier failures, particularly the defeat at Marathon a decade prior, was a wound that demanded healing. For Xerxes, the invasion was as much about avenging his father's humiliation as it was about securing strategic control over the Greek city-states. This campaign was imbued with both personal and imperial significance, marking a pivotal moment in the clash between the Persian Empire and the emerging powers of Greece. The heroics of the 300 Spartans dominate popular accounts of the Battle of Thermopylae, but they were not the only ones who stood against the massive Persian army. Thespiae, a small but proud city-state known for its dedication to the arts and its passionate commitment to freedom, sent around 700 soldiers to join the fight. Unlike other Greek forces who retreated after the initial clashes, the Thespians chose to remain and fight alongside the Spartans, sacrificing themselves to defend their homeland. Their bravery was no less remarkable, as they too fought until the very last man. Thebes, another Greek city-state, also contributed forces, though their involvement is surrounded by controversy. Some sources suggest that their role was reluctant, and questions have been raised about their loyalty to the Greek cause. Nonetheless, their presence cannot be dismissed entirely. The Battle of Thermopylae has come to symbolize collective Greek resistance against overwhelming odds, a powerful reminder that it took the courage and sacrifice of multiple city-states to challenge the might of the Persian Empire. The bravery of the Spartans, Thespians, and others stands as a testament to the unity and resilience they displayed in the face of an almost certain defeat. The Greek phalanx was the backbone of their success at Thermopylae, a prime example of discipline and strategy triumphing over sheer numbers. Each heavily armored hoplite carried a large, round shield known as an aspes or hoplon, and a long spear called a doru, which could be wielded with precision and deadly efficiency. The soldiers stood shoulder to shoulder in tight formation, their overlapping shields forming an impenetrable wall of bronze and wood. This unity not only protected each individual soldier, but also created a collective strength that was far greater than the sum of its parts. At Thermopylae's narrow pass, this formidable phalanx nullified Persia's massive numerical advantage. The bottleneck restricted the Persians' ability to flank or overwhelm the Greeks, forcing them into grueling close combat where the Spartans thrived. Persian cavalry and archers, often critical to their battlefield dominance, were rendered nearly useless in the confined terrain. The Spartans, renowned for their rigorous training and discipline, used their shorter, more maneuverable spears to devastating effect, carving through the Persian ranks with precision. This tactical mastery and unyielding resolve turned the Greek phalanx into an unbreakable barrier, one that epitomized the strength of unity and strategic advantage in warfare. Thermopylae's geography was as much a weapon for the Greeks as their spears. The narrow pass, flanked by towering cliffs on one side and the Aegean Sea on the other, created a natural choke point that perfectly suited the Greek defensive strategy. The Spartan-led forces, though vastly outnumbered, were able to hold their ground by forcing the Persian army into close combat, where the Greeks' superior training and discipline gave them the edge. Persian forces, known for their reliance on sheer numbers and mobility, found themselves with little room to maneuver, rendering their massive size ineffective in the confined space. However, this geographical advantage came with critical vulnerabilities. The hidden Anapeia path, a winding trail through the mountains, bypassed the narrow pass entirely. Unknown to most, this path became the Achilles heel of the Greek defense. This vulnerability was tragically exploited when Ephialtes, a local Greek seeking personal gain, betrayed his countrymen by revealing the path to the Persians. Under cover of darkness, Persian forces used the trail to outflank the Greeks, ultimately dooming their heroic stand. Thermopylae's natural defenses, while formidable, were undone not by brute force, but by treachery. While Greek sources provide vivid and dramatic accounts of their valor during the Greco-Persian Wars, the Persian perspective offers a contrasting narrative, one less focused on Greek heroism and more on Xerxes' grand vision. Xerxes, the ruler of the vast Persian Empire, did not see himself as a mere conqueror, but as a unifier, bringing the known world together under the banner of Persian greatness and order. His military strategy was built on overwhelming force, with vast armies and resources meant to project not only power, but also psychological dominance. This approach was designed to instill fear and break the will of any resistance long before a battle could even begin. However, Greek resilience, especially during the legendary stand at Thermopylae, defied all expectations. Despite being vastly outnumbered, the Greeks, led by King Leonidas and his Spartan warriors, held their ground with extraordinary courage and discipline. This unexpected resistance earned even the respect of Xerxes' forces, who were reportedly astonished by the Greeks' determination. According to legend, Xerxes himself was deeply moved by the events. He is said to have wept for the bravery of those he was compelled to destroy, recognizing the tragedy and the humanity on both sides of conflict. This clash at Thermopylae became a defining moment in the war, symbolizing the profound struggle between an empire's ambition and a small nation's fight for freedom. Modern archaeology allows us to visualize the Thermopylae battlefield as it existed millennia ago, recreating the setting of one of history's most iconic last stands. Excavations at the site have unearthed fascinating remnants, including fragments of weaponry used in the battle, inscriptions that provide insight into the people of the time, and burial mounds marking the resting places of the fallen soldiers who fought valiantly. Among these discoveries, Simonides' famous epitaph for the Spartans, "Tell them in Laconia, passerby, that here obedient to their laws we lie," still stands as a timeless tribute to their courage and sacrifice in the face of overwhelming odds. The site itself is more than just a historical landmark. It serves as a powerful reminder of the humanity behind the legend. Here, beneath these hills, men fought, bled, and died, defending their homeland and ideals. The echoes of their determination and bravery continue to resonate, reminding us of the enduring legacy of their actions and the profound human cost of war. The Greeks' success at delaying a larger force at Thermopylae reflects universal military principles, using the terrain to their advantage, leveraging specialized troops such as the Spartan hoplites, and disrupting the enemy's momentum through strategic positioning. By choosing the narrow pass of Thermopylae, the Greeks neutralized the Persian army's numerical superiority, forcing them into a confined space where their vast numbers became a disadvantage. These lessons echo throughout military history, influencing tactics in battles from Hannibal's campaigns against Rome to modern-day asymmetrical warfare, where smaller forces use strategy and ingenuity to counter larger, more powerful adversaries. Most of what we know about Thermopylae comes from the ancient historian Herodotus, often referred to as the father of history. Writing in the 5th century BCE, Herodotus provides detailed accounts of the famous battle, capturing not only the events, but also the cultural and political mindset of the time. His work offers a vivid portrayal of the heroic stand of the Greeks against the Persian forces, emphasizing themes of bravery, sacrifice, and unity. While his narratives are invaluable for understanding the past, they often walk a fine line between fact and myth, shaped by his pro-Greek perspectives and the oral traditions of the era. As a result, historians today approach his accounts with both appreciation and caution, balancing his storytelling with other sources to piece together a fuller picture of the events at Thermopylae. The stand at Thermopylae wasn't merely a military action. It was a defining ideological moment in history. By holding back the vast Persian forces, the Greeks not only demonstrated incredible bravery, but also preserved their fledgling democracies, which were still in their infancy. This battle wasn't just about territory. It was about protecting an emerging way of life, one that valued freedom and self-governance. The victory at Thermopylae, though ultimately a tactical defeat, planted the seeds for Western philosophies, political systems, and governance. It showed that a free people, driven by shared ideals and determination, could stand against the overwhelming might of imperial domination. This idea of resisting tyranny and valuing liberty resonated through history, inspiring countless movements for freedom and democracy in centuries to come. History teaches us lessons of courage, sacrifice, and resilience. Thermopylae stands as a testament to the power of unity and strategy in the face of impossible odds. If you want to explore more fascinating histories like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Until next time, keep uncovering the true stories of our past.